to FRC Media News for Thursday, June 16th. I'm Donna Mata. On this week's show, we talk with the Vice President of the School Committee about the process of the school superintendent search. We'll give you details about a bike helmet giveaway and a sneak peek at an upcoming weekend carnival. But first, let's start the program off by reviewing the headlines of the week with Will Richmond, digital news editor at the Herald News. And Will, you're on the phone. Hello, how are you today?
I'm good, Donna. How's it going?
Okay, it's a slow summer months come sometimes news-wise, but we did have a few national news items that were big. We had the Orlando mass shootings in Florida that happened early Sunday that claimed the lives of 50 people, including the suspect, and the alligator who snatched the child at Disney World and brought him into the swamp and drowned. He drowned. That was pretty sad. But locally here, with the Orlando shootings, Mayor Correa has decided to hold a remembrance for the victims on Saturday, June 18th. And then we had an incident with two Tiverton men, elderly men, correct? Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so bizarre story of two octogenarians who met up in a cemetery in Tiverton for unknown reasons. One man shot the other and then drove into Fall River, which resulted in a bit of a chase from Fall River police back into Tiverton. And then the officer involved shooting on a pretty nice looking neighborhood road in Tiverton overlooking Mount Hope Bay, in which the man was shot, killed by police. It's not sure exactly at this point if it was a Fall River police officer or Taunton officer whose bullets, or a combination of both, that may have actually been the fatal shot to this man. But police are still investigating the why behind these two men meeting up in the cemetery, and as well as the aspect of the officer-involved shooting.
It is a rather interesting story since they were 80 and 81 years old. They were in an argument. Is that what happened initially?
Yeah, it's not quite known exactly why the two men were meeting up. They agreed. One man, the man who was fatally shot initially, is a Kingston, Massachusetts man. So what would bring him from Massachusetts to Tiverton for this meeting in a cemetery, on the evening hours? Certainly odd circumstances. There's a lot to still find out about this, and you don't see a lot of situations in which two 80-year-old men, go at it like this, and then the second one is shot dead by a police officer. So
I know one of the suspects had a criminal background that was sentenced to life in prison or something. I know the Herald News was reporting.
Yes, the man who was ultimately shot by police, his last name is Acquisto, was previously sentenced to life in prison in Rhode Island. He had been involved and was pled guilty, I believe, to manslaughter charges in the early 1980s from a 1970 case, and then was then further sentenced later on a sexual assault case in Rhode Island that led to his life sentence. He was then paroled in 2003, I believe, which led to his release, and you would think seemingly quiet life until this week.
Yeah, just interesting. I know the paper will be covering it as more details become available. There was also an accident that involved a motorcycle driver in the south end of Fall River. Why don't you tell us about the update on that? That's also another sad story that happened this week.
Yeah, unfortunately, there was a man riding his motorcycle, was stopped at a stoplight. Dump truck behind him. When the light turned green, the truck went a little sooner than the motorcycle did, striking the back of the motorcycle and knocking him off, resulting in that man's death. So, unfortunate circumstances there. The driver has been cited at this point, but police are continuing to investigate to determine if any further charges are warranted.
That's an interesting story, too, because initially your reporters had reported that the victim had serious injuries, but they were not life-threatening. And then we find out a day or so later that, yes, indeed, the man, who's 55 years old, did die, which is, things happen, and we don't know if the driver is going to be cited with anything else, though, right? You said.
Right. At this point, they're investigating to determine if there's any formal charges, but he has just been given a citation as of what we know now.
Yes, and again, with the weather being nice, there's a lot of motorcycles on the road, folks, so obviously drive carefully. And now we could talk a little bit about the school committee school superintendent search. That's coming to a close. There were initially 19 candidates. They interviewed 10, and we have 3 finalists now who are being interviewed. Today's Thursday, June 16th, and those 3 finalists will actually be interviewed in a public arena right here at BCC in C Building, the auditorium, room 111, and that happens tonight, Thursday, beginning at 5 o'clock, according to Mark Costa, who is the vice chair of the school committee. Why don't you give us a little background about what you know about the 3 candidates?
Sure, 3 candidates, all of them bring some urban education experience. One of them, people in Fall River may be most familiar with, is Matt Malone, who recently served as the Executive Secretary for Education under Deval Patrick at the end of his term as governor. So he's been in Fall River a number of times to visit schools here. So, well known across the state. Certainly, as many people in these positions do, he does have some history here with the Brockton School Department, where he did serve as superintendent prior to taking the state job. Some arguments with the school committee over issues such as residency. I guess Brockton has a residency requirement, though he says it was later determined he did meet that requirement. But at that point, it was determined, and he had left that town early before his contract expired. We also have a candidate who is the current superintendent in Framingham, Massachusetts, Dr. Stacy Scott. Again, strong urban experience, has a doctorate, I believe, in psychology. So some good qualifications there, but again, some questionable work history. He was found to serve as superintendent for about a year without his educator's license, which led to a no confidence vote from the teachers union in that city. So, some issues that will need to be questioned there. And then the third candidate may be the least known of the 3. His name is Charles Granson IV. He's currently a administrator at a program at Harvard. Has served in the school systems in Springfield, Massachusetts, and Poughkeepsie, New York. So he's sort of the, like I said, the one with the most unknown about him at this point. Even with those questions on some of the candidates, Mark Costa, as you mentioned, who served as the chairman of the search committee, said the search committee stands behind the selection of the 3 finalists. They were well aware of these histories related to those candidates, and feel that they're the best that could be sent to the full committee for consideration.
Yes, and I did have a chance, as I mentioned, to speak with Mark Costa this morning. He came in, and he was very honest about the backgrounds of the candidates, and he would really like the public to attend these public interviews, which are happening again at BCC on Thursday, June 16th. And once the finalist is picked, which may happen by the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th, negotiations with that person will begin, and hopefully the person will be in place by the beginning of the fiscal year on July 1st, which would be nice, obviously, for the school department. So we'll have to see what pans out with that.
Absolutely.
All right, I know we probably have a quiet week coming up next week. The Charter Commission will be meeting on Monday to discuss the survey results. They had about 5,000 surveys from the public on what the public would like to see with the Charter Commission, and there are some events and activities coming up, so I'm sure the paper and as well as FRC Media News will be covering all of that. So we'll see you next week. Have a great week and just enjoy the nice weather we're having.
All right, sounds good, Donna.
Okay, you'll be talking to Keith next week. He'll be back. Thanks. Have a good week. All right, bye-bye.
Too.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this break.
Here are some positions on the newest hot job list for the week of June 13th through the 19th. Medical Assistant, job number 745-1824. Technology Instructor, job number 745-7326. Community Development Outreach Coordinator, job number 745-7422. Payroll Clerk, job number 745-7141. Welcome Center Associate, job number 745-7321. Bilingual Health Access Counselor, job number 744-5838. For more information, visit frcmedianews.org or call the Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Current school superintendent Meg Mayo Brown is leaving that post at the end of the fiscal year, June 30th. And according to Mark Costa, vice chair of the school committee, a replacement may easily slip into her top spot, so there is a seamless transition. In a recent interview, Costa, who also serves as chair of the search committee, gave us a mini review of each candidate's qualifications.
In alphabetical order, we have Dr. Granson. Dr. Granson comes with obviously his doctorate degree from Harvard. Strike that, Boston College. Boston College. He's got experience as an associate superintendent in Poughkeepsie, New York. But most of his work has been done in urban districts, both at the higher level leadership positions in the Boston schools. Dr. Granson was also an individual who, when he was doing his dissertation, did it on urban district turnaround work. And so he actually came to Fall River for some of that data that he used when he was putting that together. So he's familiar with Fall River. He knows the population, he knows the challenges that we have here in our district, but he comes highly recommended from people in the educational field. Then we have Dr. Matt Malone. As many people in your viewing audience may recall, he was the Secretary of Education under Governor Deval Patrick. But in addition to that, he comes with experience as superintendent of schools in the Brockton school system. He, during his tenure in Brockton, it's my understanding that he did quite a bit of work with increasing their educational performance in Brockton. So he's got educational experience at the superintendent level. Obviously, he's been on the stage statewide. I think in his interview, he's visited 600 schools in the state of Massachusetts. He's well qualified, well capable of doing a job. All of them are. And then lastly, we have Dr. Stacy Scott, who's the current superintendent in Framingham. He too has experience not only in the realm of teaching, but certainly as an administrator and a superintendent. He's also a licensed psychologist, which I think is really important in a district like Fall River, where we have a large population of social emotional learners. So to have somebody who brings that expertise, we felt would be an added a bonus for the district. So I would say all three certainly are well suited and have all of the abilities to successfully run the Fall River Public Schools. And what struck me about all three candidates is their candidness about what came first, and it was student driven. They all put the student at the center. And that's important in a district, not just like Fall River, but in any educational district. I think sometimes we get caught up on regulations and policies and mandates, and we forget really what it's about, and it's about educating that child. And so for them to accentuate that in their interview was really promising, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity for the public to get an opportunity to meet these three candidates during their interview and to gauge for themselves the qualifications and the experience and what they can bring to Fall River.
The finalists will be interviewed before the public here at BCC tonight, which is Thursday, June 16th, if you're watching on Thursday. Once a finalist is chosen following the formal interview process, contract negotiations with that person will begin. Costa hopes to have a final candidate hired before the start of the new fiscal year, July 1st. Mayor Correa has made it a top priority to ensure cemeteries are maintained per city ordinance. I spoke with the city's veterans agent this week to ask him about how the cleanup of cemeteries affects the grave sites of our vets. Mayor Correa is making sure that the cemeteries in this city are cleaned up of any leftover decorations from Memorial Day and any other holiday, actually. And I'm here with veterans agent Ray Haig, who's going to talk a little bit about the veterans' graves and how they are maintained. Ray, I know you were saying that the flags on the veterans' graves could be there all year long.
Yes, it's my understanding that the flags on veterans' graves, if they're properly placed on the graves, that they will remain. They will be removed if they become frayed or in bad condition until the next time we replace flags.
Okay, so they can stay literally all year long. Now, you were saying that they have to be placed in a specific location?
Well, they have to be placed close enough to the gravestone, so there is plenty of room for proper maintenance and no one able to trip over them, things such as that.
Which obviously makes sense. Now, how about the mausoleums?
Well, there's a mausoleum up in Notre Dame Cemetery, and the structure of the mausoleum does not allow anything to be attached to the front of it, whether it be a flag, and that's an agreement signed privately by anyone that buys any space there. And it makes kind of sense because you would have a lot of things affixed to the front. That cemetery does allow flags throughout the cemetery, and they also have a central flag pole location for all veterans.
Very good. Thank you very much, Ray. If you'd like to know more about the cemetery rules, you can visit the Fall River Municipal website. For FRC Media News, I'm Donna Mata. Mass in Motion is a nonprofit agency that encourages healthy living here in Fall River. As part of its efforts to keep citizens healthy, the organization is sponsoring a bike helmet giveaway for children this weekend, as we hear in this report. We're here on the bike path at the South Watuppa Pond, which will be connected to the new bike path, actually. And Janice, I know you're working on that whole project, but we have a helmet giveaway coming up. What's happening with that?
Yes, on Saturday morning, which is June 18th, we'll be here, Mass in Motion will be here from 10 o'clock in the morning till noontime, giving away bicycle helmets for kids 5 to 8 years old. We ask that they come with a bicycle or a scooter, skateboard, rollerblades, anything that would require a helmet for safety. But we'll be fitting them. The police department will be here. We'll be doing some safety inspections on the bike and checking them for fittings, their brakes, the seats, the handlebars. Police department will be here showing them how to ride the bicycle. We'll have a big stop sign, some cones. So we have a lot going on here on Saturday morning.
Now, Mass in Motion is sponsoring this?
Mass in Motion, along and with the Truesdale Foundation, who donated helmets, and the Kiwanis Club that donated the helmets this year, and of course the Fall River Police Department.
Now, how many helmets do you think you'll be giving away?
We hope a lot. So anywhere around 50 would be great. Would be a nice number.
Is that what you have to give away?
No, we have lots to give away. we have had donated about 200 helmets for the residents of Fall River. And so we've been giving some away at different schools. We've been doing the family fun nights at the schools, and we go and we give out a couple of helmets. We give them to the teachers, and they pick out a child who would need a helmet and fit the helmet to them. And so we have lots of helmet giveaways.
We will give you details on future bike helmet giveaways via our news website, frcmedianews.org. We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
So this is Maximus. He's 6 years old, American Staffordshire Terrier, sorry. As you can see, he's a very big guy. And he's mostly blind, which is another thing to take into consideration. He'll need somebody with a good amount of patience to work with him on that. Not that he's ever going to get better, but just patience in his care. But he is, for a big, gigantic pity, a very lovable guy.
This is Maggie. She's a domestic long-hair cat. She's 6 years old and she's been spayed. Maggie's been here with us for a few months at this point. She's on very special food. It's not a prescription diet, but it is a very specific, no fish, no ash, high moisture food, and she's very happy to eat it, as you can see.
And finally, if you're looking for something fun to do with the kids this weekend, there will be a carnival held at Lafayette Park. Here's more. I'm here at Lafayette Park on a beautiful June day, and this will be the site of a carnival that will be coming up this weekend, sponsored by the Flint Neighborhood Association. I'm about to talk to Carlos Caesar, Flint Neighborhood Association president, about the event. First, Carlos, tell us what days and times the carnival will be open.
The carnival will be open Thursday, 6 to 11, Friday 6 to 11, Saturday 1 to 11, and Sunday 1 to 10.
Now, how can people get tickets to get into it?
Okay, so what's going on with the tickets is the community can pick up these tickets online on the Herald News page. They can print it on the houses, or they can go into the fast food restaurants and pick up the coupon. The coupon is $2 off on the bracelet. The bracelets, it's good like on Thursday. It's good to all the time that it's open from 6 to 11. And with this bracelets, they can use any rides they want going in and off through the 4 hours, which the bracelet, it's sold by $25 a bracelet. It's good for 1 day, and this is $2 off on a bracelet. For somebody that don't want to spend too much money, $20 probably is the minimum they can spend, and the kids allowed to go in any rides. If you come like on a Friday, that's no bracelets, it's only tickets, the $20 probably give you 4 rides, like a 5 ticket per ride. So it's a really good deal.
Caesar explains the carnival is a fundraiser for the removal of the cancer-causing agent asbestos at a building the Flint Neighborhood Association recently purchased. And the asbestos is where?
The former DeVol School, that's the school that the neighborhood purchased to turn it into a community center. And the project, it's kind of stuck because of the asbestos. So this going to complete, the fundraiser is going to complete, this donation is going to complete the rest, the money that we need to take the asbestos out of there so we can start bringing the contractors in and start fixing the place.
What is the cost of asbestos removal?
On this particular case, going to cost us $9,000.
Do you think you'll raise that much with the carnival?
Yes, because we have $4,000 from last year that came to that we put into an account to pay for the asbestos, and now we're hoping to raise another $4,000 this year to complete the money that we need to remove the asbestos.
All right, Carlos, behind us is the swings. I would be on that all day long. So tell us, though, why would families want to come to the carnival?
Well, this, and we want to make it for the families, for the entire families. Here comes the idea of the coupon, because for the company, they don't like to work with this. This means that one person brings $20 into the carnival and stays all day long and ride many rides they want. So this really is not what they're looking for when they come to town. But this has been something that we've been using since the first time they came in town 3 years ago. Because of the economy and everything, I kind of deal with them and we kind of work together and say, a lot of families cannot afford. If we can bring that to one amount that families know, I'm going to bring you to the carnival, that's how much I have to spend, don't ask me anything else. So this is perfect for them because they spend the $20, but they can stay here the 4 hours and the kids can enjoy all the rides going in and out. It's no limited.
So it's one ticket per family?
It's one ticket per bracelet. So it could be 5 people, they can bring 5 tickets. It's one ticket per bracelet, and the bracelet is good for 1 day.
Okay, very good. Because obviously, you have to pay the company and you have to...
Exactly. And they have a lot of expenses, I have to say. They have to have the police here. They have to pay all these employees that are running the park and everything. So they have a lot of expenses. But on the end, the city wins. It's one more weekend. It's something different that it's not in town every weekend for the kids to be, for the entire family to be. And on the end, we win. Community wins because we're raising money for a community project. So it's a win-win situation.
For everybody. Okay. All right. Thank you, Carlos.
I hope I can see you this weekend, and I want to see you going in there.
I'm telling you, Carlos, I'd be on that swing all day long. So if you're thinking about having some fun, come down to Lafayette Park and join in the carnival and the festivities this weekend. For FRC Media News, I'm Donna Mata, along with Carlos Caesar. That's it for this edition of FRC Media News. You can catch FRC Media News Thursday and Friday at 6 p.m., but our online news site is available 24/7 at frcmedianews.org. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Donna Mata. Have a great week. We'll see you next Thursday.